Hello, my name is Marlon Long. This video is a part of my Capstone project. I perform research on strategic staffing and the laws and regulations that affect them. Strategic staffing plays a central role in the selection process, and effective strategies can be the difference between success or failure of any organization. Companies have a lot to consider when developing selection strategies. There is a number of local, state, and federal laws that impact human resource management, which also regulates how organizations conduct staffing. The first law we will discuss is age discrimination. The Age and Discrimination in Employment Act prohibits discrimination against any persons 40 years of age or older. It also promotes the hiring, promotion, and other terms and conditions of employment of older people. Basically, all hiring decisions must be based on abilities, not a person's age. Potential employers may ask, are you at least 18 years of age? However, they may not ask your date of birth or how old are you. Employers would also be violating your rights by asking the ages of your children, where did you attend high school, or when did you graduate from high school. However, an employer may ask an employee or candidate to waive his or her rights or claims under the ADEA, either in a settlement of the ADEA administration, administrative or court claim, or in connection with the exit of incentive programs or any employment termination program. To do so, the ADA, as amended by OWBPA, sets out specific minimum standards that must be met for a waiver to be considered knowing and voluntary, and therefore valid. There are six requirements. 1, it must be in writing and be understandable. 2, it must specifically refer to the ADEA rights or claims. 3, not waive the rights or claims that may be arised in the future. Be in exchange for valuable consideration is 4. 5 is advise the individual in writing to consult an attorney before signing the waiver. And 6, provide an individual at least 21 days to consider the agreement and at least 7 days to revoke the agreement after signing it. The next law I would like to speak on is Americans with Disability Act, or ADA. The American with Disability Act requires facilities to be accessible to disabled and prohibit employment discrimination on the basis of disability. The law also forbids an organization from excluding a qualified person if he or she can perform the essential functions of the job, whether it's unaided or with reasonable accommodation. The ADA does allow employers to ask if you are capable of performing the position, essential job functions with or without accommodation. During the selection process, an employer may not ask if you have a disability or if you have any previous major medical problems. Questions such as, have you received workers' compensation, or how many days were you sick last year, are inappropriate during the selection process. The next law is the Equal Pay Act. The Equal Pay Act prohibits discrimination based on sex in the payment of wages or benefits when women and men perform the same jobs requiring similar skills, efforts, and responsibilities under the same employer, under the same working condition. The Act simply says that women should be paid the same as men when doing the same work. The Immigration Reform and Control Act prevents employment of illegal aliens, as well as requires employers to ensure applicants are legally employable in the U.S. This act mandates employees complete an I-9 form, which is an employment eligibility verification form. Employers often violate the IRCA by only asking for identifications from people of color or candidates with obvious language, speech, accent, or cultural differences. The Pregnancy Discrimination Act of 1978. It prohibits discrimination based on pregnancy or any other related medical condition. It also states that women affected by such conditions will be treated the same as non-pregnant employees regarding all employment-related purposes, including fringe benefits. Employers may not ask, when do you plan to have children, or how many children do you have? They cannot ask the ages of your children or what's your maiden name. However, under the Act, the employer is not required to pay for health insurance benefits for abortions, except where the life of the mother would be endangered if the fetus were carried to term. And last but not least, Title VII. Title VII of the Civil Rights Act applies to employers with 15 or more employees, including state and local governments. Title VII prohibits any discrimination in hiring, compensation, and terms and conditions or privileges of employment based on religion, race, national origin, sex, or color. The Act does permit employers to ask applicants to volunteer racial information only in the cases where it is not seen by the individuals or offices involved in the hiring process. Any questions such as what professional organizations do you belong? Are you available to work on weekends? Or have you used any other names on employment or education records are all questions that may be asked of applicants. However, employers may not ask applicants to supply a photo in the application process or ask what race are you. Questions such as what place of worship do you attend? Do you wish to be addressed as Miss, Mrs., or Miss? What is your spouse's name? Or where is your spouse employed? Are all questions that are prohibited under Title VII of the Civil Rights Act. The EEOC is currently responsible for enforcing any federal employment discrimination laws under Title VII. And despite Title VII being passed over 50 years ago, race and gender discrimination in the workplace and private and public colleges and universities is still a serious problem. Employers mistakenly believe that compliance with federal anti-discrimination laws is sufficient enough. However, employers must comply with anti-discrimination laws at the local, state, and federal levels. It is equally important that organizations develop and implement policies that ensure all federal, local, state regulations are followed during the selection process. Doing so will prevent any discrimination cases brought against them. Thank you. And again, my name is Marlon Long. This video has been a part of my Capstone project for Herzing University.